Manly are in turmoil, folks. Yes, absolutely. DCE has knocked them for 6. Yes, absolutely. What is happening here? DCE leaving Manly after this season. What is doing? Unbelievable. All the drama happened in the last 24 hours. It's absolute craziness in rugby league. Reggie the Rabbit. Yes, Reggie the Rabbit has gone gonzo on the 9-year-old kid. Is it time for him to say bye-bye? Should he apologise? Who knows? We'll get into that. Or did he do nothing wrong? We'll also look at the shoulder charge back, baby, because Reece Walsh was not given any time in the bin, or also not suspended. Absolute madness when it comes to that. And what's doing with the referee pulling up Josh Curran for a bit of Drux and Drakes, a bit of great talking about telling the player he's offside, and he was fooled into it, and they give away a penalty for it. Absolute madness. And if Dylan Brown's worth 1.2 million, what is Cleary, Anna Reynolds, and the likes that are still on contract, Cody Walker, Jerome Hughes, what are they worth? Even Lockley Galvin, what are these players worth if Dylan Brown's worth 1.2? Let's get to it all right here in this jam-packed show, right here at Barry Charles Footy Show. Remember to like and subscribe, and let's get to it right here in the footy. Yes, well, Manly, what is doing, folks? It's all the talk of the town on 100% footy. It was all going on. The question mark is, what is actually the true answer? He said bye-bye. He's told close friends and some of his teammates, but he hadn't even told Manly this exactly was going to happen today or last night. They found out last minute, and then they go, here's a 2-year offer, thank you very much. And never actually formally put a contract to him until now, which just bamboozles me. But from the talks of the CEO this morning, saying that they believed in December that DCE was going to have his last year at Manly. Do I believe that talk was correct? Potentially. Or was it all just a bit of trying to save themselves from what was a bit of a blindsided by DCE? That's the question mark you got to say to yourself there. But is there other questions to be answered here? Is there a rift between Seabold and DCE? The talk is that there's not. Obviously, they're going to say that in front of the TV cameras, but is there actually a rift there somewhere? Did they get off with the CEO? Was the talk between the club and thing not exactly what was expected, and they got lowballed, and he goes, bugger this, so I'm going to get a contract somewhere else for big money? He could potentially already have a contract. They're just not saying it. So this is really what the wonderful world of rugby league. His talk on 100% footy, to me, although he was pretty good on there, I don't know, there's just a little bit, to me, he was dodging questions, coming up with a different answer to what they were asking. At times, to me, I just have a question mark whether he was being fully honest about the Manly situation and why potentially he's moving on. Will he retire as well? Is that an option for him to retire? Do I think there's a possibility? I don't think so. He's playing too good a footy. The only way he'll be retiring this year is if he won the premiership. If he won the premiership, then potentially he might wait till the end of the year. But I think it would be pretty silly to wait till the end of the year, because people signing him will be looking to sign other players by then. So it's a bit of a question mark over. You expect if he's going to sign another club, that will come maybe after Origin. I think it's already done, in my opinion. I think it's already done. Whoever that is. Who is potentially in for DCE? Well, if you're saying Manly have now come up with a 2-year offer, will he take that? I doubt it from what I've seen. But where would he move? Where is potential for him to move? If he's actually going to move, there's 2 ways DCE is moving. One is to go back to Queensland if he thinks that's his home with his family, and moving to Queensland is the best option. So that puts 4 clubs in the running right there. Would he go? Where would you go there? And then also, on the other side, is doing a premiership. So if I'm looking at what they've got right now, is Manly the best Sydney side for him to stay at, for potential teams to go to, because the biggest talking point is the Roosters, obviously, the Roosters. have the money to put DC in. Will that be Nick Politis' last big hurrah before he goes? Waits till they win a premiership again, then he walks away. Is that the big coup that's going to come, and we're going to find out that it had happened, but they waited until later in the season? Big chance that is an opportunity. If he's to stay in Sydney, it looks like Roosters and Roosters only, assuming he's not going to backflip. But he has backflipped before. Maybe he just wanted more money out of Manly, and he will re-sign with Manly. That's a possibility. But if he's going north of the border, if he's going for the moolah, if he's going for the big money, then he's clearly going to go to the Dolphins or Cowboys, I believe, for money. So Redcliffe is where he used to play back in the day, and then he moved to Mackay, so there's links to both North Queensland and things. So is there potential for him to join either of these clubs? If it's purely money, I think he'll end up at Dolphins. If, like, they're going to say 1.2 million for 2 years, so 2.4 million over the 2 years, then he'll take the payday. But I don't think he's taking the payday. I could be wrong. I think if you're actually looking at if he wants to go back to Queensland and actually wants to win a premiership, there's only one club, folks. Now, I know the Titans are there, but Brisbane, straight swap for Adam Reynolds. They keep Ben Hunt for another year. Boom, boom. They could win them the premiership. And wow, what a team to do with the Broncos to finish a career and win a premiership up there, because they have not won one in a very, very long time, since 2006, in nearly 20 years. So he could be the 20-year anniversary, get them the next grand final. They've been in 2 grand finals since they lost them both. Is DCE the answer for Broncos? I tell you what, I don't know. Yeah, sweet shot for Reynolds. I tell you what, people question mark if they can get the money to get this player into it. But I tell you what, from what I've seen, absolutely he's a chance. DCE could be at the Broncos. That's my smoky out of the lot. He can potentially just retire as well, but he'll have to win a premiership. I don't see him going to England. I really don't. Unless their family do want a holiday, then he'll end up at France, probably at Catalans. More than likely, if you want to have a true holiday experience while playing, that's where he'll end up. But I don't see that with a young family. That's where he'll end up. But funnier things have happened in rugby league. But I think the decision will be either, does he want a premiership? Does he want to move to Queensland? In this case, and if he wants more money, obviously he'll have to go to a lower team. They were willing to pay him more money. So that's where all that is with DCE. What do I think of it all? If they really, to me, if Manly were on top of their game, the press conference would have come from Manly. I think they dropped the ball. They weren't expecting this at all. DCE might have put a bit of a Swifty on there. Did 100% Footy Channel 9 pay DCE to come on to the program? I wouldn't be surprised. In this day and age, all this stuff happens. So maybe DCE is getting prepared for a career in the commentary. So we will see how that all plays out going forward. But it's just an interesting time to me. Just Manly. It just was a bit of madness for me. For like him to go to the Titans, they'll have to let someone go, and it'll be Bripson or someone like that for him to go there. So I don't see that as a likely option. But the fairy tale of him playing with Kieran Foran, wouldn't that be exciting? But yes, it's going to be interesting times ahead for sure when that all comes into play. Well, yes, let's get to it. Reggie the Rabbit, the old man, the old farmer time, worked for 30-something years. As the Reggie the Rabbit, it's a time for him to pull the pin after going pushing the 9-year-old. And from what I've seen on the video, the 9-year-old was just trying to say hello, and he got pushed. In this day of society, like, to me, some people could argue you could go for assault with that. It did not look good. I wouldn't be surprised if he is sacked, stood down, whatever you want to call it, and they will replace him with someone else. Even though you could argue, how can they prove that if the person's there? They'd have to check every single time they went to make sure it wasn't him again. And from his talk, he thought he did nothing wrong. Clearly, he did something wrong, and you can't do it. Even though you could argue it was quite funny, but at the end of the day, that's just, you can't have that in society. And I'm sure the NRL are going to come involved with that one, surely. But interesting for Reggie the Rabbit, unfortunately, for it to happen. The only way I could see this for Reggie the Rabbit justified doing that is if he felt that the person was like swearing racial abuse at the guy, then I could understand it. But it seems like in this case that was not the case, and there's no evidence of it, so I can't see that being. But yeah, he should do a public apology. But I don't know what's going to happen there, but it'd be interesting to see. But anyway, go from that comedy, if you think that was comedy. How about Josh Curran got away with telling a player that he was offside 10 metres and let a gap through for his team, and then he got penalised for it. So, yep, the madness of rugby league. It looks like you can't do anything these days. You're going to get pulled up. You can't sledge anymore. It's starting to come a bit of the old school is gone, and it's just going to be everyone in ponytails. No wonder the likes of Reece Walsh are getting away with what they're doing. They'll allow some things, but then they won't allow other things. Let's just go back to something like the cocaine situation in the rugby league. It is there big time, and I'm telling you, 20% of the club are on this stuff, if not more, and it just doesn't get reported. It gets hidden, whatever you want to call it. They're not serious about it. If they were serious about it, they would give these guys big time bans. They've stopped doing that. Don't know why they've done that, because maybe they're on that stuff themselves, allegedly. I don't know, but it's just something in the game I don't like, and then they should stop that rubbish going forward. But you coming back to Josh Curran, it was just absolutely joke that it was a penalty for it. You got to be scaling your head on that one for Serraldo. It's just some madness of a rugby league. Yes, the return of the shoulder charge, baby. Yes, Reece Walsh was allowed to hit someone in the head and not get penalised. What, a $3,000 fine? Boo-hoo. He should have got 2 weeks. Should have been 10 in the bin. And even though I loved the shoulder charge, I absolutely love it. I wish it was back in the game. It's not in the game anymore, generally, apart from when it comes into light in this day and age. He should have got penalised on the field and arguably should have got sent off. But because the guy wasn't knocked out silly, we don't follow replay after replay after replay. But that's the way the shoulder charges. Let's get to it now. The last final bit of this episode, folks. Yes, the $1.2 million man, Dylan Brown, signs big contract. Boom, boom. Or $1.3 million, I should say. Boom, boom. He's the richest man in rugby league right now. We saw Jason Taumalolo get a similar contract. I think it was getting up to $1 million. DCE as well. What do some of the other players in the comp deserve to get if Dylan Brown's on 1.2? So they want DCE to go to 600,000. We've seen Ben Hunt go to that sort of figure. Anna Reynolds potentially going to that sort of figure if he continues. What's doing? What are these players actually worth if you think Dylan Brown's a 1.3? So first of all, we look at Cleary. He's $2 million, baby, all day of the week. You could argue 2.5. We've got to be realistic. $2 million is probably the most you could pay for someone in the competition right now with the salary cap. But if it continues to go up and up and up, you would really make your salary cap pretty hard to win a comp if you pay someone $2 million. But you could potentially pay someone $2 million to get them on your books. Then after that, who's next in line? Well, you look at Jerome, who's the Munsters, the DCEs at the top of the game at the moment. You look and you could add Cody Walker, but I'm going to drop him into the next list. $1.6 million for Munster, Hughes, DCE, for example. Then going into the next echelon, 1.4, you look at the likes of Hines, even though you could argue that he's not playing good enough at the moment, but in terms of what he can do, Reynolds, Hunt, all these guys all around there, Cody Walker, they're at about, you could argue they could be even higher, but 1.4, let's say. So they've got to be more than Dylan Brown. Then other ones that I think should be in with Dylan Brown sort of salary here, you got the likes of Sam Walker, Lachlan Galvin, Braden Trindle, Luke Brooks, you could argue, Jaden Campbell. I mean, I think obviously Luke Brooks, you probably don't expect that big terms of improvement, but all these other guys you expect improvement of. So that's just a little talk about rugby league anyway. But anyway, that's Barry Charles Footy Show for this episode. So DCE is out of Manly. We will see what other news comes to light during the week, but my next video will probably be Thursday as we talk about rugby league as we get ready to rock and roll into the weekend footy.